Hello and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever in the world you may be. My partner in crime here, Rhett Power, is in Dubai, and we were talking just before we went live here. The new book coming out, Head of Mentals. You're doing some book signings there, and 75 books are already off the table. So
That's right. That's right.
That's
75 at a time, man. 75 at a time.
Here you go.
It's good. It was a good event, and appreciate the plug there. And it's been, you do this, you know that it's a good feeling to get it finished and then get it in the people's hands and serve the intent that you probably wrote the book in the first place for, right? Is to help people with their challenges. And so it feels good. It feels good to be out there talking about it. And
that's good. I love it. And it's 1:30 in the morning for you.
Some response.
So I appreciate obviously the wake up effort. You didn't go to sleep, so that's good.
That's good. That is a good thing.
And looks like David's going to join us here. I was just getting ready to introduce our first guest. So
I don't know what's the matter though. You can hear me, but you can't see me.
Well, there are some gifts that are better.
Keep going.
Better unwrapped here, huh?
You guys feel the love.
Yeah.
Let me log back in. Sorry, I've been having trouble with the camera.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Well, let's bring Pam on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just bring Pam up. So, yeah. GG, there we are. Pam, hello, Pam Meissner. Yeah. The CFO and COO at Cathcap, cathcap.com. And fractional CFOs. I mean, I'm on the board of directors with the Unstoppable Foundation, and our CFO, literally almost since we began, has been a fractional CFO, and he is brilliant at what he does. Absolutely brilliant.
Nice to have a piece of that brain, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And what I really appreciate about him is he's actually a strategic partner. With the work that's being done with the foundation. He brings insights and says, have you noticed this over here? You may want to pay attention to that given where we say we want to go.
Yes.
And in that sense. So with the work that you do with Cathcap, I mean, I was struck when I was reading kind of the show notes coming in here. Widely recognized, and this is a comment about you, widely recognized as a profitability detective.
Yes.
What's that about? Yeah, kind of bring us up to speed here.
Well, any good professional likes data and likes to dig into the data. And we have found that information, numbers, and boxes really come together as a story. And it's understanding that story, because you go through any set of books and you're like, wonder what that is. And you start, picking away at it. And before you know it, you got a great story that is detracting from profit. And you're like, well, that was an interesting ride. Can we be done with that now?
Absolutely.
And usually we find and either prove out assumptions that entrepreneurs have, or we debug them and say, I don't think that's true.
That's just a really, really powerful statement. I don't think that's true, because oftentimes we don't. I mean, I'm the first to admit this. A number of different times in my career, when we got into the books, it was kind of like, the market, we thought that was a flyer, and it doesn't seem to. It's more of a submarine than an airplane here. It's taking us in a direction we don't want to be going, even though it looks like it's making money.
Yeah, and we often find when we come in, we do some subtraction. Oftentimes, being an entrepreneur, it's all about being adding and multiplying. And sometimes you just have to take a look and say, okay, fine, we want to go that way. Well, let's get rid of all this stuff over here so we can absolutely focus and execute on on where the money is.
Yep. Good. Great. David,
Pam,
welcome to the show.
yeah, thank
Welcome
you.
to your
Yeah,
show.
thank you. Thank you for your patience. When we look at profitability today, with so many CFOs that I work with, there's some interesting variables that didn't exist before. And one is the technology productivity quotient versus the employee engagement quotient. So many traditional businesses, we have an expectation of what productivity is, but we don't have the perception or the understanding of how productive technology is with our employees. So we end up in a situation where our employees are barely engaged. Their effort is at a minimum, and the knowledge base of the managers, VPs, and executives haven't caught up to the power of the productivity of the technology. And so, in a lot of areas, there's, although profitability, but in your inspection and detection, have you been able to expose where these type of incredible exponential outcomes can occur by seeing where people are just getting technology, and they may be able to expand their business exponentially if they realized, wow, we need to get these employees engaged and utilize this technology. We could 10 times our business and profitability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All day. We often find that people start off launching new technologies and they over engineer it. They're maybe only using 10% of what it's capable of, or they over engineer the implementation, and that creates employee disengagement. And eventually that results in bad data. And if you don't have good data, you're not going to be able to make good decisions. And so, yeah, I see it all the time that people aren't keeping up with what things are capable of. I'm working with a group out of Texas right now, and it's death by email. And I'm like, we have systems for all of this stuff. And they're like, didn't you see my email? I'm like, was that number 800 for the day or 452? Because no, I did not read all of those emails.
Yep.
And then they get mad that they're like, well, if you take all the phishing that we have, right? People are trying to abscond with your hard-earned money. And I'm like, yeah, because it's an email and it's not in a system. And so the more you can get systems to do the work, and they do it a lot more reliably, and they never miss an email. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear. Go ahead, Pam.
No.
No.
I'd love to hear. When you talk to clients and they say, "Well, I don't know if I need a fractional. I don't know if I need a CFO." I'd love to hear, because I know we've got entrepreneurs on here right now saying, having that debate, right? They're having that debate in their head, and what is the pitch? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. People say they're not sure they can afford us. And then other people say, I'm not sure I can not afford you. For those reasons, you don't know what it is until you sample it. So we have a 3-month guarantee. If you don't have value in 3 months, then you shouldn't be paying us. Time and time again, we are able to triple their bottom line and double their top line. And it's through that the power of the numbers that people value us. I think we see things differently than an entrepreneur does, right? And in the money is all the drama, is all the stories, is the shame, is the opportunities. And once they realize that we're not going to blow them away with all this fancy speak and acronyms, and that we're just going to dive in and there's nothing they can do to surprise us, then they become vulnerable with us. And once they become vulnerable, then you can take action and you can address the issues in the business. So I think it comes from knowing what's possible. And the points about doubling the top line, tripling, we call it a double triple, I think.
Call it hitting the cycle. We almost did that last night. It'd be perfect.
Right. And they don't know what they don't know. And once they know that we're going to teach them and we're going to partner with them, they're much more open.
I always thought my CFO was going to tell me no all the time. And what I figured out was that he was there to tell me how I could do things. Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, that's because someone told you that your CFO is going to be like your girlfriend.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
No, I think CFOs absolutely have that reputation.
They do.
I think it's a good reputation. I encourage people when they're looking at fractional C-level executives to start with a CFO before they get to a CMO or a COO, especially because you don't know what you don't know, and the CFO is going to let you know what you don't know, and the longer you go, the less you do know. So the CFO will, number one, hit the top line and the bottom line, but also tell you what capabilities you need to continue that trend. And so they may not have the skill set as a CMO or a COO, but they'll expose you to the prioritization of capabilities and align it not just with emotion, but with practicality and profitability. So Pam Meissner has been doing this at the top of her game. Go to Cathcap.com. She comes with a guarantee. Not many C-level executives come with one of those, that's for sure. Even in the sports world, you got $50 million firing. That's not going to happen with a fractional CFO, especially if you partner with Cathcap. Double your top and triple your bottom. Mm-hmm. Wow. Double the top, triple the bottom. You hit the cycle. Pam Meissner, please promise us you'll come back. Thank you so much for everything.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Pam.
for your patience. All right, gentlemen, I got my video working. I got my new little screen that we're still playing with in the studios. We're in the midst of opening 3 new studios, so it's been a madhouse. Anyway, our friends are in the waiting room, and hopefully we have Mark Harris still here.
Yep.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Mark, welcome.
Good to meet y'all. I thought I'd bring a little show and tell for once for you guys. So
yeah, I love it. I'm bringing a lot of show. You can go bring in the show and tell. Co-founder and CEO of HeroWear, and he's wearing the HeroWear and trying to drive awareness to this technology with the exosuit technology that's proven to make our lives better, kind of like AI, to make humans more human. And can save, just like Pam. We'll put Pam and Mark together. Saves companies money, allows us to scale, and is here to stay. Give us a little bit of background on the HeroWear, and give us maybe an illustration since you're wearing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I love doing is finding kind of novel technologies that solve these age-old problems. And so if you think about the ways in which technology has just changed our lives everywhere, but one area that it hasn't changed since the caveman days is the way we just bend and lift things up. So there is a huge number of people that have really physical jobs, just manual material handling. And this technology was developed to basically help those folks take a load off their backs. And so my co-founders ended up inventing the tech, and we spun it out of Vanderbilt University. But it's not what you're picturing if you're just kind of listening to this. This isn't an Ironman suit. It is no motors, no batteries. It's about 2.5 pound suit, but it takes about 40% of the load off your back when you bend and lift. And so, our sort of mission with this is, first and foremost, we focus on B2B enterprise clients, and mainly going into their warehouses and helping their workers be happier and healthier. And then down the road, the big picture vision is to start to normalize this technology and get it to a place where you guys have one of these in your garage as well.
So moving from the mainframe model to the on the desktop model. Yeah, if I can go back and just kind of grab some history out of the computer industry and its scaling migration.
Yeah.
What you're an extreme athlete. You've doing a lot of different things right now. There's obviously application in the warehouse environment. This repetitive lifting and that sort of thing here. If I'm going to have one of these things at home, let's just kind of take that, move away from the B2B to kind of move into the direct B2C. What am I going to be wanting to buy this for? What am I going to want to be having one of these around the house? And maybe not just that particular item, but
yeah, my favorite model to think about is like a power tool. So think about just a power drill, right? That was introduced originally. That was a corded drill that was just for construction companies at the end of the day. And what they found was that there was so much utility in those drills that people started taking them home at the end of their shift and using them for home projects. And if you fast forward to today, now everybody's got a power drill in their house, even though we're not all construction workers, and you might only use it once a quarter or once a year, but when you need it, it's there. And so it's the same kind of thing with lifting. So, all of us will have a variety of hobbies, some more than others, where you might be wrenching on your car, you might be doing gardening, you might be helping move your kid into college. And the idea is to have a type of technology like this eventually where you can throw it on and save your back so you're not sore the next day and you don't risk straining your back during that type of activity.
I'll take one right now.
Because let's be honest, we're all 100 backs at some point in our lives.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I've been down to Vanderbilt's University, the entrepreneurship advisory center that you have, and met the director and did a tour. And I was really expecting to see that exosuit, like the Iron Man thing. Actually, after touring that place and seeing what those entrepreneurs are doing, this is interesting. Is this now commercially available, sort of at scale? So it's already.
Yeah. We launched the technology in 2020. Then we launched our Gen 2 in 2023. We've got hundreds of paying clients, but again, they're all large enterprise clients. So, some of the ones we've spoken about publicly are like General Motors, Boeing, Rust-Oleum, U.S. Army. We do a lot of defense work as well. U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, Australian Air Force. And where we are in stage of the technology is we've proven at scale we are drastically reducing back injuries, and workers are reporting their jobs are about a third easier. And so the other really cool thing we've just gotten over the last 6 months with all this data has been, because the workers are less tired and less fatigued, and they go home at night and they get a full night's rest, they come back fresh, they're also picking more. So it's not just that they feel better and are healthier, but they're also more productive. And that's really driving a ton of growth within operations at a lot of these large organizations.
That's great.
And I can see with the impact that it has on the top line and the bottom line, how that works in the enterprise. How do the economics work at the home? Are we going to be able to see the HeroWear at an affordable price where we can have it like a hand drill?
Yeah, that's what we're working on. And so that is definitely several years out. So our focus today, we basically wanted to make that decision. Like, we're going to focus the area where we can have the biggest economic impact initially. And then as you scale any type of technology, we're going to be able to drive down costs to get it to a point where you'll be able to go into a Lowe's or a Home Depot and pick one of these up. But we're not there just yet.
It's amazing how technology makes humans more human, more productive, efficient, effective, statistically successful. Imagine going to work and it being a third easier. That would include also the expense of healthcare and all the other missing work type of critical business issues, and one as well as engagement. When people are tired, not only aren't they engaged, but they make many more mistakes. One of the biggest things in cybersecurity is not having a tired workforce, because believe it or not, that's when the greatest attacks happen, through stupid clicking because they're tired and not looking. So it affects everyone from the warehouse to the sixth floor, as they say in the corporate enterprise. So thank you again. We're seeing a theme here with Mark Harris. Check out HeroWearExo.com. Genius technology to save our backs and build our top and bottom lines. Thanks so much, Mark. We'll have you back on our other shows. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
That's awesome. All right. I need one of those when I clean my garage.
Yeah.
So, all right. Jeff and Steven hopefully are here as well. I did fix my computer, but I'm going to stay on my phone. Just look at this. If you didn't think 3 middle-aged white men were bad, we'll go for 5 today. This is amazing.
And one apparently a witness protection program. I apologize for my saying.
Yeah. What do you, Jeff Tuff? These are great names for Deloitte people. I love this here. Hold on. How about this? Jeff Tuff and Steve Goldback. I'm hiring Steve Goldback, if you ask me, especially at $4,000 right now an ounce. You can't ask for 2 better names for consultants and one of the leaders in consulting. But I'm glad that you guys have a book coming out here in the next week on October 21st. And I'm going to hope this is okay. HONE, that would be either a typo or Hun. Is that right?
It's actually Hone.
Hone. That's why I asked.
Explain the title.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, honing is what you do to a knife. I thought that you were sharpening it when you ran it against a honing steel, and I was having a conversation with a chef that we profile in the first chapter, Flannery Clegg Colton, and she says to me, no. I said, why are you sharpening your knife? She says, I'm not sharpening it, I'm honing it, Steve. And it turns out that sharpening a knife is actually really bad for knives. It gets rid of the steel, it makes it brittle. You don't want to do that very often. And that's why chefs hone their knives every time, because the honing it makes it sharpen, makes it cut like it's supposed to after it was sharp. And we think that's a metaphor for business. Business spends a lot of time in transformation, when what they really should be doing is making sure that they keep the transformation fresh by honing every day, instead of going from major transformation to major transformation.
That's so cool. Now, honing does not, another alternative definition. I thought it meant focusing. Is that true, or is honing simply what we do in that process?
Well, so honing, actually, I don't think the literal definition of honing means to focus, but actually that's exactly what this book is about. It's the premise behind the book is that as the most senior leaders in an organization, your job is not just to set the vision for the organization and then let others execute. It's to focus every single day on the details that drive the behaviors that help you accomplish the goal that you've set out for the organization.
And it's interesting because not only do I screw up the pronunciation, I can screw up the definitions now as well. So it's amazing they let me do anything. One of the things that's most compelling for me, I'm chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, and when we talk about defying drifting, I think that Napoleon Hill was, if you've ever read Outwitting the Devil, especially, was extremely keen on purpose and the definiteness of purpose. And 98% of the people don't hone. They drift through life. And even more importantly, like you have mentioned, it's really important to have this definiteness of purpose. And a lot of people don't know how to be purposeful. So I'm going to ask a quick question, then hand it off to the really smart guys that I brought on here to make me look good. Dr. Wayne Dyer, you may be familiar with, he had this statement that has set me down a journey, just like from my 17, when I was 17 and studying existentialism in AP English, and Kierkegaard said I am, and I at 17 said, oh yeah, I get that. Well, Wayne Dyer in my 30s taught me the thoughts about your purpose are your purpose. And I thought I understood that, and here I am 20 years later. Wayne's not around anymore to ask. So I was curious about how purposeful leaders think about purpose in order to defy that drifting that causes us so much inefficiency?
Well, I think the main thing is to not have purposes that shift with the winds, to extend the metaphor of drifting too much. Steve and I have stolen a lot of ideas from the world of being on the water in boats over time. And, in boating, unlike in life, you can actually keep a vision on, or you can keep your navigational instruments on a fixed point, or either coordinates or a fixed point on land where you can keep yourself going straight. What we talk about in Hone is an elemental purpose for any organization. And for any leader to be effective at what they do day in, day out, they have to understand what that elemental purpose is without having a fixed point in the future they can aim towards, especially in a future that is by definition governed by uncertainty.
The idea of drifting, and I'm going to put this in the context of scaling, because if we're not growing, we're going to be atrophying and eventually dying here. Elon Musk some time ago said that the most common mistake of a smart engineer is to optimize a thing that should not exist any longer. Yeah, and in my experience with a lot of folks, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs that are actually looking at scaling their organization, they get captured by the minutia. The way that we do business. Let's get granular and start optimizing. And they lose sight of that fixed point that you were talking about, Jeff. How do you address that? And I'm assuming that you do in the book, just given the title and in a little bit that I'm reading about it here. How does that actually get addressed? Because it's really seductive for folks that are looking to solve a problem. Okay, well, let's optimize this because that'll help us scale better. It's not scaling harder. You end up scaling harder, not smarter.
A lot of that, I would say, is probably in the way that people define their purpose. When you define your purpose as something you do, rather than something that is done for the benefit of a customer, that becomes the challenge. So in the example you gave about what Musk described, my guess is that the engineers were defining the purpose of the organization based on something they're doing, as opposed to some external benefit or external customer challenge.
Focused on the tech, probably.
Right. And if you say that my job is to do something about the world, like we talk about the elemental purposes of different organizations in the book, and one of the ones that we use is Apple. We don't know what we're not saying they have an official elemental purpose. We talk about the bringing of high design to everything they do. That gives them a lot of leeway to be able to redesign things and reinvent things in a particular way. And so I think the way that you avoid the drift is to have that always be externally oriented rather than internally oriented, because you get enamored with how things are done today rather than how they might be slightly better in the future.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I hope I get to see you guys at Thinkers 50 in a couple of weeks in London, because I'd love to carry this conversation on.
We'll be there.
We will be there. Yeah.
Excellent. But I want to go back to elemental purpose for a second. We talk a lot about purpose, and this is a new term for me, and I'd love to know, how do we do this as leaders? How do we get to this elemental purpose, and how do we communicate it to our teams?
Well, actually, and I'll tee up Jeff in a sec, because he's the one that came up with this phrase. The contrast we make in the book is actually comparing an elemental purpose, which isn't necessarily something that's for publication. It's just it's an answer to the question of why we exist and what this organization exists to do, and it's that clarity of what it is. But oftentimes we have, as organizations, an ornamental purpose, and that's something that in our writing Jeff came up with. And the ornamental purpose, you spend a lot of time worrying about the precision of the words. You get everybody group groping and editing the purpose, and then you have it to the extent that it was it doesn't mean anything anymore over time, or it falls out of date. We're simply saying back to the point that I think David was making at the start, like the way to avoid drift is to be really clear on what we're trying to do. And it's not about the precision of the language, it's about the why we exist and what problem we're trying to solve, as opposed to the communicating, the specific way you communicate it. It's repeating the idea over and over again.
And the only thing I'd add to that, and maybe just to distill it, Steve, is the ornamental purpose is what you say. Your elemental purpose, which we think is an actual purpose, is what you do day in, day out. And that is what defines you to the outside world, much more than any sort of marketing slogan or posters you put up on the wall.
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship when we talk about tying intention to purpose of what we say, what we do, and then even furthermore, as we said with Wayne Dyer, what you think. And then you can take it to Napoleon Hill, what you believe, and then to the ultimate Maya Angelou of what you feel. And so in those 5 levels of intentionality, when we have a definiteness of purpose, we can aggregate all of those different things, I think, behaviorally, consistently, that will then defy the drifting that I believe is, one of the major factors in the lack of engagement and productivity that is masked by, as we earlier stated, by extreme technology, is masking the lack of engagement and productivity that actually exists today. And as soon as awareness starts to catch up with, executives and C-level executives, particularly, of how powerful the lower level employees are with this technology, that they're not getting nearly enough productivity and engagement because they're so much more savvy and efficient with that technology. It's so interesting, but millions and billions and perhaps trillions of dollars can be saved with Deloitte and the genius of this best-selling duo, Jeff Tuff and Stephen Goldbach. Thank you guys very much. We have other shows. Like I said, we're going to have deeper conversations. 10 minutes is not enough when we want to defy drift. But the book will be available next week on Amazon. It is a must read. Hone, Hone, How Purposeful Leaders Defy Drift, which could be one of the most expensive things next to taxes for a company. So thank you, gentlemen, so much. Look forward to learning more from you and appreciate your patience as well.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Great job. Awesome. All right. I don't think we had a woman on here. Oh yeah, we did. We had Pam. Thank God I was late.
Yeah, Pam. Yes.
I'm trying my best to make sure we got equality all over the place. Anyways, takeaways of the day. What do we got?
Yeah, I'll drift. I'm going to just run with that one. You and I have been having some conversations about doing a drift program through the Napoleon Hill Institute, and I resonate with that because it is problematic. And if we've got a fractional CFO that can point out some areas that we might be able to improve, we're going to begin to mitigate drift. If we can find ways to make work easier, particularly manual labor, you're going to have people that are more emotionally engaged. They're going to be wanting to show up, which will address drift. All of this is about how do we get emotional engagement and sustain emotional engagement with what we're doing. And drift is just a signal that something's amiss, and it's really pernicious. It just creeps up on us really quickly if we're not paying attention.
I love it. Mr. Rhett.
That's good stuff.
He's very smart.
I love
Blaine's very smart.
He really is.
Who are we talking about here?
He really is. I agree. He really is.
I think all 3 of these guys today, or these guests, had elemental purpose. I like that. I like the term, the elemental, and then the ornamental. I think that's a kind of an interesting way to sort of look at that. But they all definitely have I can't say the word. I'm not even going to try. It's 2:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Definiteness of, thank you. What he said, they all have that. And that was, that was good. That was refreshing. Thank you, David, for bailing me out there. I can't speak.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I was on yesterday with Nikhil, our good friend, and it was, not only did I pronounce something wrong, but then I forget, it was like I kept saying we're, whatever, and it was like I like wearing, and it was we are. Oh, it was Sean Dill. It was Sean Dill. Just had to point out that I was an idiot. He's like, that is not wear, that is we are. Like, oh, I know what it was, Versus TV, which I actually have worked with, and I know Versus TV, and it's we are versus.tv, and I'm like, you can find them at Where TV, and Sean's like, you're an idiot. So it was one of the more entertaining things. So don't even feel bad, Rhett. You are leap yards ahead of me. Anyways, my takeaway is about this hidden productivity that I think we're going to find. And I see it with my children. I see it with my employees. When I really watch how and what they do, I start to realize, wow, if you had some traditional training and discipline and behavior, you could be 10 times as productive. And, you know, there is something to be said about, you know, the way we grew up in the 9 to 5 era of, you know, being repetitive and consistent in our practices. We can't allow our children to cheat themselves because technology is so powerful. If we can apply the traditional, purposeful, fulfilling work ethic into this technology, we could change this whole world, because I think most companies are working 10 to 20% of their capacity when it comes to productivity because of not only the technology that's, you know, cheating us, but it also leads to, you know, lack of fulfillment, lack of engagement, because when you're working really hard at what you know are being paid for, it's very fulfilling. It's a fulfilling day of work, and it's not fulfilling just because you can get things done for the week in an hour and, you know, cheat the employer and cheat your boss. That's not fulfilling. It actually creates interference. And, you know, I think all three people are trying to expose, you know, how we can really increase the top line and the bottom line with productivity and engagement in technology, not just technology. So very, very interesting. And I cannot wait for our future. Both of you, I owe extreme gratitude to, and humbly appreciate you being on Office Hours, the Soul of Business. Blaine, let's get a new commercial. I like the idea. We got all kinds of cool videos with my cool music, and let's rebrand back into the opening and closing videos from Office Hours. We'll make it the Soul of Business. So thank you both, and we will see you both soon. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Love it.
You got it.
Glad to have you home.
Yeah, I'm going to Miles' football game right after this, so this will be good.
Cool.
There you
Okay.
go. Thank you. All right.
Excellent.
Well, that we'll do it today for Office Hours of Soul of Business with David Meltzer, with Blaine Bartlett and Rhett Power. Sorry, and thank you for your patience, I should say. We will be in Madison, Wisconsin, speaking there on the weekend. I think I get a little speech to one of the teams, and then to Chicago on Sunday, Monterey, and then Las Vegas for Office Hours of Season 9, then LA for Go Fund Yourself, #1 show in Cheddar, then SoFi Stadium for a mastermind, then New York City for a VIP dinner and the 1% event, and then down to meet with the Aspire crew in Jacksonville, back to New York for a VIP dinner, and then Aspire with Gary Vee and Ed Milet in Columbus, Ohio. That's how you get to 200 cities a year. Join us, 949-298-2905 to be invited, or to just be informed, or just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. Remember, do your best, learn lessons, and have fun. Remember, be more interested than interesting. Remember, be kind. Remember to be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time training. Thanks so much. Take care.